Helium appears to be scamming the people again. We just lost $5,000 in hotspots due to some arbitrary shutdown that we were placed on a blacklist. Hotspots, they're all legitimate hotspots, all legitimately placed, done according to the rules, and yet we're receiving no answers from them as to why. It seems as if Helium doesn't really care about the 4G community anymore. Let's get into that today with DeFi IoT. Exactly what Helium's doing to people. So in summary, I'm just going to share with what I've been hearing through the grapevine, and was talking with our IoT engineer yesterday at a meeting as to the 45 hotspots, give or take, that we have set up. All legitimate hotspots. We invested heavily in the HNT project, believing in it and believing in its leadership, only to receive the same abuse everybody else did on the excuses of why things went offline and they couldn't make payments and changing from HNT to this other token. And, you know, it's just excuse after excuse to not fulfill the promise that they painted or told us in the beginning. Now, there's other people that are saying and complaining of the same problem. I'm just going to tell you what we have. We set up around 45 different hotspots throughout the country of Ecuador, within covering 3 cities, basically. And so it's not a whole lot when you're talking about covering 3 cities. The idea was we were going to put in 1,000, but we just hit the brakes once Helium started playing games. And recently, a little week ago, arbitrarily 5 of our hotspots were placed on a blacklist. Now, these hotspots are all set up within a distance. They're all set up on separate IP addresses. There's no DPNs. There's nothing of this nature, or VPNs, nothing of this nature that are connected to any of these hotspots. They are all legitimately placed hotspots. These were hotspots we bought in the peak of the market, and then with the antennas, we are having to raise the antennas due to the concrete buildings and the height issues. We spent about $1,000 per hotspot, and some a little more, some a little less, $1,000 per hotspot, and antennas, etc., installation. And now 5 of those arbitrarily are just gone from us, stolen from us. Why do I say stolen from us? Because when we go into Discord and try to get the responses from Helium and ask why specifically are these hotspots not able to function, or why are they placed on this blacklist? And they just send us to this reference of this general, well, these are the things you must have been doing, or these are the reasons why we took them offline. Which none of those reasons, whether we were suspected of spoofing or somebody else had, reported us, and that's even really broad and arbitrary, because they can just say, well, somebody reported you, and not show the facts. Look, there's other reasons. And none of those reasons are basically, if you have set up your hotspot according to how Helium said you needed to set it up, you were actualizing, updating, doing all the things you're supposed to do, that hotspot should be working. That's your hotspot. You paid for that. But is it really? It appears we didn't pay for our hotspots. We didn't buy those. What we bought was the privilege to be able to participate in a centralized network, and which is now what they talked about, the People's Network. This is not the People's Network. This is Helium's network, and they run it and they control it. And their leadership have been doing some very shady things. My advice to anybody that wants to get involved in the Helium project, I would stand down for now. I would not invest money. We have $100,000 invested in Helium, between ourselves and an investor group that we put together to invest in Helium. We believed in this project. We believed in their leadership and what they promised. And we're not alone in this. You're not going to see the growth that you saw with the 4G hotspots. I don't believe, personally, 4G is something that's already yesterday. 5G is the future. And their focus is on 5G, mobile, and other areas along those lines. But it's in 5G. It's not in 4G. We thought that 4G would still last in foreign countries, but really, think about it. What are their use cases outside of the US or even Europe? They're really very few. So I don't believe that Helium really wants to keep paying out to hotspots that really serve no purpose to them. So they need to find reasons and excuses to not pay. And this is what I believe that they are presently doing. So I would buyer beware if you want to get involved in hotspots. Now you can buy hotspots for $300, you know, around there, give or take. We were paying in the market anywhere from $700 to $1,000 and having to wait over a year for some of those hotspots, only then to finally get some, get them set up, and have them shut down. So Helium is stealing the money from us. I mean, literally, because how else do you explain that? There is no legitimate reason why they should shut those down. That's our money. So we basically hand over our money. We invest in their project only so they can abuse us and manipulate us. I would not, at this moment, get involved with Helium, especially in 4G. I'm not even going to get involved with 5G. We bought one 5G, and it's still sitting on the shelf. I just don't believe in this project anymore. And I did it one time. I did wholeheartedly, and I convinced a lot of people to get involved. And I am so sorry I did that. So just buyer beware. Do your research, do your homework. But here's something wrong. Planet Watch, the Planet Watch project, did this to their people a little over a year ago, and they got away with it. And then Helium started doing it to people because the community doesn't rise up and do anything about it. And unfortunately, this is why, because of the unethical players that we have with Helium, Planet Watch, Revelify, others, we now need to then have regulation. It's sad because that regulation is going to over-regulate now from our governments, and they're going to limit how many people can actually, or who can actually participate in actually valid projects. It's too bad that these companies are so unethical, and the lack of ethics exists today in society. Is we've taken our principles and values out of society. Not our values, our principles, because value is whatever you value. They value scamming people. I don't value that. I believe in doing honest work, and I hope you do too. I'm sure you do. DeFi IoT, please give us a thumbs up. Get this out to people. Let people be known that there's out there people just still pumping Helium. Beware of certain channels that just pump and shield. There's a lot of them out there. They get paid, not necessarily money, but they get free miners. They're not putting money on the line. They get it for free. They put very little on the line. We put our own money on the line. That's why here at DeFi IoT, you're going to get the real deal from us. We'll talk to you in the next video.